I think he felt pushed out. There wasn't, like I said, there wasn't any support.
A lot of focus is given to the mother and her baby, and I think fathers often get left out, because I've seen many a father traumatized by a birth, and that in itself has led to distancing and then a separation that might occur between the couples.
I know actually that it did cause a rift between us. There was a lot of jealousy and animosity towards the baby from his point of view. Yeah.
The birth can create a little start of some separation, which, if it's not dealt with and looked at, can grow into something much bigger.
Where I found myself dealing with it on my own, I developed the attitude of, well, these are my girls and I can do it on my own. I don't need anyone else to get involved. So basically you're building a brick wall up around yourself, and you don't want outside help. If you had that birthing partner or that advice there who says to you, it's okay to feel like that, and there's other things that we can do to break down those barriers, then that would be fantastic.
And to me, if partners are having difficulties in their relationship, it is really important that family, friends, professionals like myself really support both of the people involved to avoid condemnation and blame and guilt, because there is nothing more toxic than guilt.
My daughters have gone on to have their children. You know, like my third one saying to me, oh, what was I like, Mum, when I was born? And what was I like at a year old and 18 months? And to actually sit there thinking, actually, I feel really guilty because at the time I felt so bad, I can't remember. I've shut that part of my life off.
A lot of studies have shown that what really makes a big difference at a birth is that a woman has someone there with her who is known to her. Unfortunately, because of how the system is at the moment, women often turn up to the labour ward and meet their midwife for the first time. So to have someone with her that knows her and has been with her throughout her pregnancy will be very reassuring. And that's the role that either a partner can have, but if the partner is not around or would also like some extra support, then that's where a doula or birth companion can be really useful, because you would have built up a relationship with that person throughout their pregnancy.
I personally felt that I didn't get any support through my pregnancies, and the feelings that I then subsequently had, maybe not so much through the second, third and fourth pregnancy, because I'd kind of got it by then, but definitely afterwards, because there was no one to talk to about your emotional feelings, you then feel isolated and then become isolated because you don't want to talk about how you're feeling. There's like a guilt aspect to it, and personally I built up a barrier around myself and then shut the partner, the father, out, which then caused even more bigger rift between us, and subsequently the relationships break down. If that support network is there before, if you're aware of that support network before, if you know that it's okay to talk about how you feel and that how you're feeling is natural, then it will save a lot of time and heartache afterwards.
And of course, I think it is sad for children not to have both those parents that they have asked to be present for them in this lifetime. But there are many twists and turns to these stories, and to me it's working with each and every story and seeing the gifts in that.
Well, we're not midwives, we're emotional and practical support. A midwife's there to make sure that your baby arrives safely into the world, and a doula's there to make sure you feel safe while your baby's arriving into the world.
As a doula, I've often accompanied women whose partners are not present for some or other reason. And so women don't have to be alone during their labour, because I often find if there are problems with partners, then it doesn't always, but it can affect how that woman labours. But if she has the loving support of someone like myself, a birth companion, or even a good friend or another family member, it just gives that consistency of someone who knows her and will be there for her.
When I had mine, antenatal classes were pretty horrific, actually. They frightened me and I didn't go back. I didn't actually want to see this plastic doll being forced through a fake pelvis. It just frightened me too much. There wasn't any practical advice there on, what to expect. You're going to have all these weird emotions and fears rushing through you. And again, not just as a woman, as a man as well. This must be a pretty daunting and terrifying prospect for a male to go through as well.
Birth is one of the biggest, well, if not the biggest thing you'll ever do in your life. And being a lone birth partner can be a very stressful time. It's very time consuming, it's a very emotional time, and it can be very, very reassuring to know that there's someone there that has attended births before and has done this before, and someone that's going to be calm through what can be a very emotional time for you. And for partners, knowing that they can leave the room or they can get a bit emotional, knowing that someone's going to be there to kind of hold the space for them.
In Chinese medicine, emotions play an important part in the flow of what we call the qi. And qi is what creates life. And so any disturbance to the woman's emotions during pregnancy and post-birth and early life of her baby are obviously going to affect things. It's not to say the event itself is wrong. It might be how she's reacting to it or what is happening around her. And I think it's very important for us as family and friends and birth professionals to really support that woman and support her partner through that difficult time so that there can be more harmony and less stress.
I had a couple that had a very stressful relationship, and having a doula actually took a lot of pressure off of them, and it helped the father participate with a lot more confidence, knowing there was someone there to lift him up as well as his partner. So it was very empowering all round, I think, for them.
It would have been fantastic if in that, when I had the children, I had a doula, or because to me that would have been ideal. It would have been a birthing partner, a support who I could have told her, well, this is what I want, this is what I want to experience, and perhaps if there's a husband in the room or a partner in the room who doesn't actually want to be there, he's not going to feel guilty by saying, you know what, this isn't for me, I don't actually want to be here, can I get out?
I had a very stressful experience with my first pregnancy and my first birth, and it put quite a big strain on my relationship. So I personally use art to relax, and I became very interested in mandalas because labour is a mandala in itself, and it's a natural form and a natural shape, and we usually start from a 10cm circle. So it kind of taps into birth quite naturally. And mandalas don't require any artistic skill to create. A woman that was struggling quite a lot with her pregnancy and the emotions behind it, and she didn't quite know why she felt so negative and so stressed. And she actually chose to do a few workshops throughout her pregnancy just for the relaxation, and because through doing one she enjoyed it so much, and she enjoyed the creation that she had from it, and she found it very uplifting to look at her piece of art afterwards. And it was actually quite empowering for her to show it to her partner and then say, oh, this is the journey that I went through creating it. So I noticed with this particular woman that doing the workshop gave her something that she could use with her partner to explain, oh, this is how I felt doing this workshop, this is what I made, and this is how I felt when I was making it, and this is how I feel now, and this is what this means, rather than just saying, this is how I feel. It benefits them because it releases a lot of anxiety, it's very relaxing, and being pregnant, it's the most creative you're ever going to be. So you'd naturally move into being more artistic because of the part of the brain that's unlocked when you're pregnant. It starts with a guided meditation, and that's some of the appeal because it relaxes you and opens you up. And then the second part of the workshop is creating the mandala in itself. So it's a very relaxing experience, and a lot of women choose it to go with their birth plan or instead of their birth plan.
It was just practical medical advice. Well, weighing your baby, are you breastfeeding okay? I didn't want to talk about how much the baby weighed and whether I was breastfeeding okay. I wanted someone just to sit down and talk to me and ask me how I was feeling, and I didn't have anyone to do that for me.
Generally, I think a lot of emphasis is put on the birth, but really the birth is only the beginning of the story. And it's important as birth professionals that we really, yes, prepare people for their births, because that can have a huge impact on relationships, but also to really talk about what happens after the birth, because that can in itself be a bit of a shock or a stress when this longed-for baby is not sleeping at night. You are exhausted from being up all night, maybe your nipples are sore from breastfeeding because you need some help with how to really get that baby better latched on the breast, and especially if your baby is ill and the stresses that can cause. So parents really need a lot of support and education about what is to come after the birth.
This is a shock. I wasn't expecting it to be like this, and actually I feel really bad. And am I allowed to feel bad? Because that can result in a lot of guilt. And, you know, there can be quite a gap between having the baby and getting that maternal rush of love that you imagine in the films you're going to get as soon as this baby's born. So if there was someone there that you could actually say, I feel a bit guilty about that, is that all right? But yeah, it doesn't always happen, does it?
Newborn babies are absolutely wonderful. They are a great gift and a joy. They are another loving thought of God or creation that has come to be here with us. But they can also bring challenges, and especially babies who may have colic or aren't sleeping so well at night. And of course, dads can often feel left out because mum is very involved with the baby. And it's good for partners to really talk about what's happening and to try and nip a lot of these feelings in the bud, because otherwise resentments can grow. And resentments often grow when we get into the whole idea of sacrifice. So I'm sacrificing my time and energy for this baby. What am I getting back from this relationship? Or the partner may feel, I'm sacrificing my intimate relationship with my partner and my time and my couple time. And what am I getting out of this? And so resentments can start to gently build. So I always encourage couples to really talk and to clear things and to have help if they need it. Because really, if we could see in a spiritual sense that that baby is a part of me, and of course that baby is a part of both parents, loving and giving something to that baby is actually then loving and giving something back to myself. So it's understanding and realizing that the baby is a part of me, and that whatever I share and give to my baby, I'm sharing and giving to me too.